It's 1921. The first transatlantic flight happened just 2 years earlier. And here's this Italian engineer Giovanni Caproni thinking, I can do better. I'm going to build a passenger airliner with 9 wings and fly 100 people across the Atlantic Ocean. He built successful bombers during World War I. Big ones. He knew how to make things fly. But the war ended. Military contracts dried up. And Caproni had this idea. What if we could fly 100 people across the Atlantic Ocean? Now, you have to understand something about 1921. Most airplanes could only seat a few dozen people. Crossing the Atlantic by plane, that was basically science fiction. Alcock and Brown had only just crash-landed their way from Canada to Ireland in 1919. So, Caproni's vision was wild, but he genuinely believed in it. He saw the future. He just built the wrong machine to get there. Here's where things get interesting. The Ca.60 was powered by 8 Liberty L12 engines, each producing about 400 horsepower. Not bad for 1921. It had 9 wings arranged in 3 sets of 3, basically 3 triplanes bolted together with a big boat hull running underneath. 9 wings, 3 separate wing structures, and supposed to work together in harmony. The thinking wasn't entirely crazy. If you want to haul 100 passengers plus fuel for an ocean crossing, you need a lot of lift. And Caproni's solution was essentially stack more wings on it. But here's the problem with that logic. Wings don't just create lift, they create drag. They interact with each other in weird ways. The airflow coming off one set of wings hits the next set, and everything gets turbulent and unpredictable. Biplanes were already kind of aerodynamically messy. Triplanes were worse. Let's talk about something called the center of gravity and the center of lift. In an airplane, you want these 2 points to be in the right relationship. Get it wrong and your plane either wants to dive nose first into the ground or flip over backward. Either way, you're having a bad day. With the Ca.60, the centers of lift and mass were too close together. Any slight disturbance could cause the aircraft to overreact. This is a fundamental design problem. Modern planes deal with this using computers that make constant tiny corrections. In 1921, you had a pilot with a stick. The Ca.60 has 3 separate wing assemblies spread along its length. Each one generates lift at different points. Coordinating all of that lift with the weight of engines, fuel, passengers, and the massive boat hull below, Caproni didn't quite nail it. The cockpit was open air. The pilots sat exposed with their heads poking through the roof. This plane was designed for transatlantic crossings, over the North Atlantic in an open cockpit. You know how it gets colder as you climb in altitude? Flying at any reasonable cruise altitude across the ocean, your pilots will be popsicles within an hour. The Ca.60 was built in a hangar right on Lake Maggiore and finished in late January 1921. The first test flight happened in February, just a quick lift off the water, nothing major. They identified some issues and made adjustments. They noticed the aircraft had a tendency to pitch up, so they added 300 kg of ballast to the bow. Then came March 4, 1921, the actual test flight. Here's the thing, Caproni wasn't even there. He was still in transit from his factory. The pilot literally decided to take off while Caproni was away. They'd loaded the aircraft with sandbags to simulate the weight of about 60 passengers. The plane lifted from the lake and climbed to about 70 feet. Then everything went wrong. Those sandbags weren't secured to anything. When the nose pitched up during takeoff, the bags slid backward. This shifted the center of gravity toward the tail, which made the nose pitch up even more, which made the bags slide further back. The aircraft stalled and dove into the lake. Caproni, the pilot, survived amazingly, but the Ca.60 was done. By the time Caproni arrived, the pilot had been rescued, but attempts to tow the wreckage to shore actually damaged it further. Caproni assessed the damage. Only the metal parts and engines were salvageable. All the wooden structures would need complete rebuilding. The Ca.60 is actually a perfect case study in how not to build an airplane. Don't scale up designs without understanding basic aerodynamics. Secure your ballast. Don't just put your pilots in an open cockpit. Don't rely on blinking lights for critical communication. And maybe, just maybe, don't build something with 9 wings. But Caproni's vision was right. He was just 15 or 20 years too early. Flying boats like the Boeing 314 and the British Short Empire eventually did inaugurate long-distance transatlantic services. Large passenger aircraft become reality, just not the way Caproni imagined. Parts of the Ca.60 can still be seen at the Gianni Caproni Museum of Aeronautics in Trento. An engine, the control panel, some of the floats. Fragments of an impossible dream pulled from the bottom of an Italian lake.